And welcome everybody to the Jim Masters Show, Entertainment Lifestyle Celebrity Talk Show Series. It's so great to have you with us wherever you're watching around the world. It's always a pleasure. Thanks for all the great comments, love, and support of our Entertainment Lifestyle Celebrity Talk Show Series, where we're bringing in celebrity guests and friends from all over the world who share their passion for what they do and their love of life and sharing it with the world. And I think that's so cool with these incredible conversations we have from all over the world, truly. And we thank all the viewers who watch and support from all around the world, and all the guests who come in from Hollywood and Broadway, television, music, stage, sports, culinary arts, all kinds of cool people who stop by JMS to spend some time with me, your host, and time with all of you. So thanks for all of the love and support. We really appreciate it. And we are so excited. We're sporting the Irish green. You guys know I'm Irish on my mother's side, and sporting the Irish green because we have somebody who's going to be here representing the Emerald Isle. Actually, he's a legend in the music business, and we are so excited. And what we're excited about is to get him in this short window that we have, because they're on tour. We're here in the United States. For those watching around the world, we're here in the New York area. That's where the Jim Masters Show live series comes from. However, our guest and his crew, they are touring America right now. So we have a window. He's actually in a hotel in Maryland at the time of this show, and he's squeezing in some time with us in between performances to tell us about some cool things, new music, and so much more. Who are we talking about? We're talking about the legendary and incomparable Derek Warfield. We're so excited to have him here. And of course, he is with the incomparable Derek Warfield and the Young Wolfe Tones. And if you are familiar with their music and their pride for the motherland, well, then you know what I'm talking about. If this is the first time you're hearing about this fantastic group and all the great music, it does not have to be St. Patrick's Day for you to enjoy incredible music from a group like this one. And we're so honored to have, the head honcho of the group with us here, the guy that sort of sets the tone, pun intended. Tell you a little bit about the extraordinary group. It's a special group of Irish men and women who have been responsible for the preservation of the tradition of Irish ballad singing over the past 50 years. Derek Warfield is a distinguished name among them. He's been in the music industry for a multitude of years, multi-instrumentalist, singer, songwriter, and so much more. Derek Warfield and the Young Wolfe Tones are bringing that musical tradition forward with reverence for Ireland's past and the energy and optimism of a new generation of Irish musicians. Derek Warfield and the Young Wolfe Tones are thrilled also to be celebrating 16 years. It's incredible. On the one road, and are delighted to be celebrating in style with the release of their CD, Let the Free Birds Fly, with performances all over America, which is really something special, and all kinds of incredible music. The album is primarily a collection of songs that reflect the life, traditions, feelings, and aspirations of Irish people, past and present, who love their faith, their home, their land, and Irish food, and Irish music, and Irish everything. And Irish culture and music here in the United States and Canada is so popular. You just think about all the great Irish artists who have come through, and they express this all through words, music, and song. And this is something that is really very special. We're going to tell you about the meaning of it all. Here's some performance video shots and things of that nature, some really cool shots of members of the group. We're so excited. Again, they are iconic. They literally sell out wherever they go. They have a good time. When the Irish get together, it's always a good time. They'll keep your glass filled. They will put a twinkle in your eye. They'll tell you a quick-witted joke, and they'll play some music, maybe a session or two. In this case here, they are literally touring America as we speak. Here is that album. We're so excited to share this with you, Derek Warfield and the Young Wolf Tones. Let the Free Birds Fly. We're going to have Derek tell you what that's all about. There they are on the road, again, gracing the United States right now with their presence. They've got a lot of music out, too. You know, over these many years, they've put out quite a bit of music. And there, again, is the newest batch of incredible songs. But here's some other singles and so much more over the years, celebrating the patriotic spirit of Irish music. And, you know, you can go to Amazon and other places to get all of their fantastic music. We're just showing you some of the incredible music that they have been responsible for. But Derek himself, again, has been doing this for a long time. He's somebody who, again, is beloved in the industry, and it's just really something special to have him here to talk about what they're up to, what they're doing now, the music, and so much more. So while we have him exclusively coming to us from a secret location at a secret hotel in Maryland, USA, as they're on tour, let me welcome, along with all of you watching, and thanks so much for watching. And if you want to comment during the show, feel free to do that. And we appreciate your support. Subscribe, like, comment to our YouTube channel, Jim Masters TV. Let's welcome Derek Warfield to our show. Here he is. He's got his cool hat. You guys know I'm a hat collector. He's got this really cool brimmed hat. He's ready to go. Derek, welcome to the show, my friend.
And thank you very much, Jim. I'm delighted to be here on your show. It's a great privilege. I heard so much about you, and indeed your reputation precedes you, and it's all good.
Oh, you've been talking to my mother again, huh?
Yes. We had good mothers. I had a mother that put me singing when I was 5 years of age.
Yeah, tell us about that. How did you get started? What was the inspiration growing up, you know, in Ireland to get into music? Did you come from a musical family, Derek?
Oh, yes. I think in our neighbourhood, Vinci-Core in Dublin, the whole neighbourhood was filled with music. And I believe that it's probably set my path in life because, first of all, in my family circle, music was a big part of our life. And my mother loved singing, and she always encouraged me to sing, and she taught me songs, and so did my grandmother. So by the time I was 7, I probably knew 50 songs and would sing them regularly and at family gatherings and on trains and buses. And because my father worked for the railroad, and anywhere there was a train that could go to a destination in the day and come back to Dublin, he took us on day trips. So I probably knew the geography of Ireland by the time I was 7 as well. And, you know, that plus the fact that Ireland is a very musical country, and you know, people love to sing, and we used to sing on trains, and I got to love singing, and my family knew that. And of course, if there was a gathering, they would say, "Oh well, Derek will sing a song. He'll sing a song." And of course, I didn't have to be asked twice. I was up there singing away.
That's so incredible. What was some of the first music that you sung, and what were you listening to early on?
Oh, the songs of the family circle would have been, you know, amazingly when I think back on all the songs that my aunts and uncles and would sing would all be Irish. There was no law to say that they had to be Irish, but they would sing songs and they were currently popular, like and those songs, you wouldn't have to learn or the words because gradually you would know them from listening to them constantly being sung, and so that was a real education. And of course, when I went to other homes, and I was surprised to see that there were some families in this that didn't have any music. That was a big shock to me because I believe that that music was an essential ingredient of life. And having grown up, my mother played piano, my father played piano, my dad played the mandolin, and my
Mm.
grandma gave me my first mandolin, and the you know it was a natural progression for me to be involved in music. And then my greater, the extended family all were very musical, and all my aunts had a piano in the house. So at any family gathering, there was always song and music. And what we would hear from the outside really was a little bit alien, because the family circle of songs were songs that were um, had been in, if you like, our tradition for generations, and they were sung with real meaning and passion. And to give you an example, my mother used to sing a song, the little girl milking her cow, and a song called Teddy O'Neill. And she would have all the young girls crying when she was sung
Mm.
Teddy O'Neill. It's a song about emigration and the sadness of it. Um, and she was a great woman at recitations. She was wonderful, and it was a big part of entertainment. Self entertainment. We entertained ourselves. Recitations were a big part of a lot of the entertainment that that were part indeed of family and bigger gatherings.
Did you form a band early on, a group, establish it with friends and buddies or family early on, maybe as a teen?
Yes, I think that um, that was a natural thing with my brother Brian, and with two neighborhood friends, Noel Nagel and Philip Woodnut. Uh, we 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 all had an interest in Irish music, and of course, the thing that probably influenced a lot of us was the success and achievement of the Clancy brothers and Tommy Makem here in America. I think the big factor for me in that success was that they were singing the songs that many of those ballads we had sung around the fireside in Ireland, and they were taking them to the greatest concert halls of the world, which was a huge advance, and it was placing a high value on the simple songs that we and ballads that were part of our tradition. So I think the success of the Clancy Brothers and Tommy Makem would have a huge influence in why, back in 1963 of August of that year, I founded, along with the three other lads, the Wolfe Tone Ballad Group, taking the name of Wolfe Tone, who was indeed Irish Republican leader that wanted to emulate the success and achievement of George Washington here in America, and we took the name of his name for our band. I think the inspiration came from America, and also add to that the folk revival that was part of American musical scene with uh, with Pete Seeger and the Weavers, and uh, that fused along with the Clancy Brothers and came back to Ireland. And then in Ireland itself, and back in 1952, there was an organisation founded Cultus Cultori Éireann, and that were another strong influence because they set about to hold monthly Irish festivals where people could perform and sing the music that they loved. And this was a huge advance also, that you could actually sing the songs, and you could play the music in open. Remembering that when I grew up in Dublin, many of the pubs and hostelries wouldn't allow singing, wouldn't allow playing. I remember talking to Paddy Maloney one time down in Galway, and he said he was thrown out of a few pubs for taking out his whistle, his tin whistle. Lord have mercy on him. I'll never forget that. He said, the way things were in Ireland, there was a suppression on all of our indeed pastimes, of our traditions and our culture, like our dance, our music. Where all limitations were set in where they could be sung and about what they could be sung, and this all came from London. and colonial limitations set on Irish traditions, which in many ways were not considered as an art form. But
Mhm.
our people in Ireland and my family loved their music and knew its value, and they, never accepted the fact that our music was just an idle a pastime. It was more. It was the creative spirit of the Irish people, representing the feelings and the history and the characteristics of our nation. And it's embedded indeed in our history, because you don't have to look at my generation or the generations that preceded. If you go back to in the earliest texts of history in Ireland, you'll find that music is a big part of society from those early years, and everywhere to be found are texts of music and poetry. So as the years progressed, I came to realize that really the Clancy brothers and Cultus Culturier were relighting a flame under a great tradition that had been suppressed for hundreds of years, and that it would explode within the next generation. And my generation, thankfully, was part of that indeed development, where we seen a recognition for our music, our song, and our dance, and their proper place as great and beautiful indeed representations of the way we like to express our nationality. And in many ways, I think that the music, song, and dance have enhanced our nationality and made it indeed stronger by the unique representations that are part of our music and part of our dance and part of our song, and the beautiful poetry that many times accompanies our musical tunes and melodies.
Why do you think it is, especially here in America, there is this love affair with everything and anything Irish? I know when Riverdance came over, that sort of kicked things into gear even more. And then you've had all of these Irish groups, Celtic Woman, Celtic Thunder, many others. I had the pleasure of meeting and interviewing the late Frank Patterson and his wife Eiley, and so many others really coming over to the States and in fine shape and form, celebrating everything Irish. What do you think? And here you are, you guys are touring and you know, spreading the green everywhere in that Irish spirit. What do you think it is about the Irish culture and music and the arts from Ireland that really resonates with everybody here in around the world, but especially in America and Canada?
Well, that's it's a very big question, and but I think essentially that the Irish civilization and the way it expressed its music and the complicated nature of the music and song and the artistic representation. If you look at ancient, indeed, Celtic art, you'll see that it's not just simple. It's the calligraphy that's involved in the representations of figures and of words are brought to a level of artistic expression with powerful images. Well, the same is true of our music. And I think it's very important to remember that when Irish people left Ireland, and the millions of people that were disposed and dispersed out of Ireland over the years of colonialism, um, many of them left indeed in poor circumstances. Many left indeed and would have modest means, but all of them brought their music with them. And they brought the music with them to any place of settlement, and then that music and song enriched the societies into which they went to live. So Irish music became a very powerful ingredient of the development of American, indeed, music. And there were other, indeed, influences as well. But because of Irish emigration from the 17th century, was continuous, due to the people leaving our country, and the wars and the resistance there was to the attempted conquest of our nation. Um, all of these people never left their traditions behind. And like you mentioned, Michael Flatley and Riverdance, and like Irish America, they embraced it, and they knew that the traditions that were brought with their exiles, and their family, was of value. And you know, uh, they they reinterpreted it and created greater things. This is always the case with Irish music. I think that it's such a powerful base, and it's the dance is such a powerful, different expression, that there's always room for development and to bring it to greater heights and more complicated, indeed, expressions. So I, I think that spread over this country, over the last 50 years that I've traveled around it, I've gone to no part of it where I didn't find Irish influence, both in the culture and character of the neighborhoods. Um, and it's in every part of the country. And I don't think there's any other European country that can say that, particularly when it comes to the musical and uh, the dance, and Irish immigrants had a powerful influence of the development of a unique form of American music and American dance. And so it's I think Irish America have done a very great service to retaining the heritage of that was brought from Ireland, and propagating it here, and that's been a big factor. I always think back to when I was playing out in San Francisco back in 1970, on the 25th anniversary of the old band. And the man that was introducing us on stage was a man called Harry Harrington.
Mm.
And Harry had a bar in San Francisco back in the 60s that he'd opened just after the Depression. And he was introducing us on stage, and he said, "No, I'm delighted to introduce," he said, "the Wolfe Tones." And he said, "The leader, Derek Warfield." And he said, "I just want to remind you," he said, "this is the greatest night that I've ever presented in this Circle Line Theatre since I introduced John McCormack back in 1939. And I said, when he came upstairs, Harry, he said, you never told me that you promoted John McCormack." Oh, he said, "I did." And he said, "There was his last concert here." And he said, "Well, I'll tell you something about that concert," he said, "Derek." He said, "The concert was a sellout, but I looked out at the start of the concert just 10 minutes before it was begin, and there was nobody in the auditorium. So I said to the theatre manager, 'Where's all the people?'
Right.
So he said, 'They're in the bars.'" he, he said, "They're in the bars, yes." He said, so the theatre began to get half full. And he said to Harry, silently, he says, "The first half of the show is all opera, but the second half of the show are all Irish songs and ballads. And that place will be ringing to the rafters." And so it was. So a lot of the people missed the first half of the show because of the opera, and they were all there for the second half. So he told me
For the
that.
second.
But I think that says a lot about John McCormack, because he sung Irish ballads, and it's the first time they were ever recorded. And you can't imagine the thrill and the pride that Irish people would have felt when John McCormack recorded "A Nation
Mm.
Once Again," or "God Save Ireland," or some of those patriotic songs back in the early 19th century. And I've often thought that that explains, indeed, the great pride, that, our music indeed was a representation of our nation, and it was the vehicle to which we resisted, indeed, the oppression, and which we resisted indeed the attempts at conquest of our country. And I believe it's the reason we were never conquered.
That's another reason why I think there is this love affair between America and Ireland, because it was a similar situation for us when we were starting this country.
Yes, absolutely. And
Yeah,
I
not to be conquered.
well, there's a very great analogy, and I found that through reading of history. Back in the 90s, I completed 3 CDs on the American Civil War, the music and the Irish involved in the awful war. And I realized I was picking up some songs that were not about the Civil War, they were about the Revolutionary War, but they were Irish songs. And I realized also that back in the Revolutionary War, the Irish were everywhere. And once again, they brought their music onto the battlefield, and the campfires around which indeed the Irish is celebrated and sung and played were where all the people was together. And that was true also in the Civil War. And the music again was central to the camaraderie, to the passion of the war and the sadness as well. It was expressed in every way. But I also found that like George Washington had a wonderful respect for Ireland and wished it to be free. He wanted to see our country free, and so did Ben Franklin. And Ben Franklin, indeed, when his visits to Ireland, um, he uh, he was appalled at the state of the poor people in the country, and he commented that they would do the same to us in America if we allowed them to do it, and it changed his opinion when he came to Ireland. Um, but I think uh, the that part of history is where Ireland indeed. I think you have to remember when Irish people left Ireland and they lived such a dire sense of oppression, they were determined never that it would follow them to this country. And so they were the first to offer their services to defend it in the Revolutionary War and the subsequent war of 1812. You'll find Irish names are, in fact, are many of the defence committees were like muster rolls from indeed Irish events. So, and the Civil War again, you'll find Irish people determined that the promise of this country um, would be defended because I think Irish people had more to value from America than many other nations because we're the only two nations really that knew the reality indeed of English oppression and colonialism the way it worked and its self-serving system and you know so I'm not surprised at all that there's an analogy made by many people between our struggle and America's struggles for freedom. And incidentally, that CD that I completed was called Washington's Irish. That's what I
Mm.
called it. Yes. Um, but the wonderful thing about music is that it's there forever. And when people write the songs, it's a mirror image of a passing time. And it's the way many people reflected on the events as they affected them at that time. And sometimes they can be very honest, and sometimes they can be very comical, and they will look at it in a light that probably we wouldn't be able to see from this distance. So they're always valuable songs that were written at the time.
Absolutely right. So then how did the group become the Young Wolf Tones? Tell us about the development of that and some of the incredible folks who join you in music on stage too.
Well, that has been the great joy of my life. When the old band broke up back in 2006, 2001, I probably searched around for a couple of years to see what I had that I could give to younger people. And I've always felt the need to teach and pass on our message of and um, our traditions and our culture to younger people. And I decided then to form the Young Wolf Tones, and it's been a great experience for me. I've had some wonderful young people indeed in the band, some very talented people. And I have to say, like going back to the days when we started speaking about the Clancy Brothers, the Clancy Brothers, Tommy Makem, and other bands around at that time, musically, um, we were performers and singers. Um, the standard of our musical ability is so great today among young people in Ireland, um, that they have both. They have both the tradition of singing that was passed on to them, and they have also um, the wonderful um, uh, training and musicianship of teachers that are readily available all over Ireland today. So the the tradition, I mean, the Young Wolf Tones, as we have constituted today, are a really talented bunch. And I suppose the main stay of our band has been the Morris Woods, who was with the Young Wolf Tones since the very beginning, and she's brought into that band many great performers, singers, musicians, and we don't have any stipulation on the length of time they stay with us. Um, they just to give us notice if they're going to leave, or they have other plans. And all of the young people have learned a great deal about how our traditions and song are more important than just simple songs representing a particular feeling. They are part of our heritage, they're part of our tradition. There's a lot in there, and I think many of them now have gone on to have their own bands and have been very successful. Um, but the lineup of today's band are super talented. And We have a lad with us from County Cavan, Andreas Stroken, who plays keyboard and is a great voice that sings the Fields of Athenroy like nobody else has ever sung it, with the passion and with the belief and understanding of the trauma that um, the dispersal of so many people back in the 1840s of the country. This song that was written indeed by a man from my own neighbourhood of Inchicore in Dublin, Pete St. John. He wrote this song to remind the world of the calamity and catastrophic event of the hunger and the potato failure that was then used by the government in London to rid the country of Ireland's poor. And this song represents it very well. And incidentally, on the CD LP that we have, um, was done during the lockdown. So there's a very comprehensive book inside it that gives all the background to the songs. And there's a song that was written by Bobby Sands in prison back home in Derry. And again, that's a wonderful song about history, because Bobby Sands wrote that song about the followers of Robert Emmet, who were all indeed um, dispersed and to Australia. And they were young people that had followed Emmet in the hope that he could bring the liberties and rights of George Washington to Ireland. In fact, a lot of people don't know this, but when Robert Emmet here in America is represented by many statues all over this country, his death was such an iconic um, and great loss indeed to the advancement of people for a better society. And his death was mourned by American people because of the manner in which he was executed. He was cut up in front of a church of worship in Dublin. And Emmett is remembered all over. And Bobby Sands obviously knew this. And he wrote a song about the followers of Robert Emmett. And I think that's a very important um, thing about any of our patriots who are imprisoned. they always knew they were part of a greater struggle and a longer struggle, indeed, for the rights and self-determination of the Irish people. And they always reflected it in song and music.
Mm, that's incredible. And this album that we're talking about, which is the newest, and again, congratulations on it, Derek. Let the Free Birds Fly. It is tied to, historic events, which I think is something extraordinary, inspired by the powerful image of remembrance by renowned Irish artist Robert Ballard, which depicts in a very meaningful way the spirit of freedom of 10 Irish patriots who passed away in the hunger strike in 81. And there's also a sort of like a double entendre in the title because it's synonymous with the band. And like with all musicians and performers, you guys were sort of confined during the lockdown as well. So it's time to let the free birds fly, right? Couple of meanings.
You got it exactly right, Jim. You're a master.
Good last name, right?
I'm
Well,
you've heard
you
that
can
a few times.
today you can call me Seamus for James. Feel free if Seamus is more comfortable.
Seamus and Moontori.
Yes, I love
Yeah.
it. Yeah, what was it like putting this together and the great selection of songs that you have on this album that I think will move people? The fields of Athenry and Come Out Ye Black and Tan Streets of New York, Homeboy's Home, Back Home in Derry, and Spanish Lady, and so many others. Tell us about the song selection and how you put it all together.
Well, there's a song on that you didn't mention called "Hand Me Down My Bible" that was recorded by Luke Kelly back in the 1970s. Luke was an iconic singer with the Dubliners, and I knew Luke pretty good, and was only to getting to know him really well when he died, a very young man. But he was a very passionate balladeer and a wonderful singer, and we re-recorded that because I just thought that Luke always had a way of reminding people of the reality of the things of value. And he recorded that "Hand Me Down My Bible" at a time when most people would not have recorded a spiritual song. And I thought it was time was right for us to re-record it, and we did. And the song you mentioned there, "The Spanish Lady," is a ballad that was I first recorded back in 1964, and
Wow.
I re-recorded it. It's a lovely song and about an 18th century old ballad in Dublin. And I thought it was time to re-record it. And we did a video that's available on the internet too. You can, the Spanish Lady, she dances all over the place. But that was one, and we have a beautiful song on about an eviction that was witnessed by hundreds of people. And the thing about evictions in Ireland that they generally happen around November and December, just before the end of the end of the harvest and the oncoming of winter, and people were thrown onto the roadsides of Ireland to certain death. And I wanted to remind people of um, the harrowing scenes that were witnessed in Ireland. And there are not many songs that remember those awful events. In some ways, people of that generation shied away from even telling their children here in America about the events in Ireland because they just didn't. They wanted to forget them. They were so horrific, and in many ways, the Loch Sheelan Eviction is a beautiful song, and it's featured on that. But every one of the songs, I give a long history about them, and an account of how we endured almost 2 years of being deprived of performing. Um, and as many of you in the entertainment business know that are out there, it was a very difficult time for a lot of entertainers and performers. Um, and some of the people that were involved in the industry and in the business, I know, have not recovered to this day. Many that I know lost their businesses during the COVID. I don't think there's any other profession that was more affected or than the music and performing profession. I know even from the theatres in Ireland, they haven't come back to their 1990s. I don't know how it is in America here, but it's been very slow um,
Yeah.
to
There
come back.
are, right, it's coming back, but there's still, it's building certain things, depending on what it is, or selling out, name people, of course, if Barbara Streisand sings, that sells out. Billy Joel, Barry Manilow, some of those names. But for folks who are starting out or mid-level, it's a little bit difficult. And there's been businesses too, restaurants who've
Oh, okay.
disappeared, and stores that you
Yes.
used to go to couldn't make it, or the business, they reopened, but it was half what it used to be. But yet the cost of doing business is more now with
Yes.
inflation and everything else. So it makes it very difficult to sustain, the numbers and activity that was had prior to it all. I keep saying, because we always talk now about a timeline of prior to COVID, what life was like prior. People will say, well, before it. So what I told people is, well, for all these years, we always would say BC meant before Christ, but now it means before COVID.
That's a very good way to, and it's true. I know some great venues that closed over the COVID, and that's been a big loss to a lot of bands. And I think also the psychological effect had a lot of people changed their careers. A lot of people changed indeed their skills, and it was bound to have upset indeed, and but looking at the positive, what we did during the COVID was we did an online show every week, and it kept us in contact with a lot of people that appreciated our music and song down through the years. And we also um, did live streams, and we found that that was a way um, to generate new friends and to keep our old friends indeed amused and entertained. And um, but St. Patrick's Day 2020 was a strange day for me.
Was
Yes,
it?
yeah.
Yeah,
But
to be doing it,
looking at
not
the positive
necessarily
side,
out and about. Yeah.
we have a lovely CD LP, and I got it done in vinyl as well. For those
Oh,
of you that are
great.
watching that didn't throw out your record player, it's
I still
available in
have
vinyl.
mine. Yeah.
Yes.
Still have all
They
that
seem to be
equipment.
coming back.
They're coming back,
Yes.
right? Exactly. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
very retro, and what goes around comes around. And yeah, absolutely. Yeah, they're talking about some of the technology. I was watching a report the other day, and I was telling some friends some of the technology, like boom boxes, like turntables, like Sony Walkmans. If you have a Sony Walkman that's still in the box, there are places where that is $10,000 for the Sony Walkman if it's still in the box. These things are cameras, cameras where you used to put the film in the camera, take the pictures, and then mail off the film for developing. Um, it's that's is incredibly popular right now, retro. So don't throw everything out, everybody, because you never know. You may have some treasures in the basement or in the attic. Um, that's funny. I should actually say film, because my father has always said film. And when I was a kid, I would say, Dad, what's film? You mean like fill it up, fill the barrel up, fill up the cup, fill them up. No, fill them. It goes in the camera. I was like, film? Isn't it film? And he goes, yeah, film. And he had heard his mother and grandmother and the folks from Ireland who settled in New York City say some of that with some of the Irish accent and intonation. And so then I said, okay, that's very interesting. But I didn't know that as a kid. He told me later on. So when I heard it again was when I was on PBS television, and it was the Irish tenors had come over to the States, and I was interviewing Ronan Tynan on PBS TV. And he was talking about picture taking and paparazzi and all. And he said, film. I'm like, I'm looking up at him. I'm saying to myself, where have I heard that before? And then, so now I know there's certain parts of Ireland, I don't know if it's more northern or what have you, where film is how it's said. How do you say? Do you say film or do you say film?
I'd say film, but
Film.
that's one thing characteristic about Irish, the way we speak English language. Every English word has two syllables. Say it'll be road, or it'll be, as you say, film. And many of the words are pronounced because we're speaking the Gaelic language through English. And this was explained to me by a linguist in Dublin, that we have a tendency to say everything that with two syllables. So it's a characteristic of the way we speak. And I remember Lord rest on Hal Roach used to tell jokes about the way we speak and the way we speak the English language. And we could do a whole program on that, Jim.
I was going to say exactly right. Bottle and those kinds of words. Yeah, I know. It is funny. If folks have not experienced Derek Warfield and the Young Wolfe Tones concert on tour, what can they expect? I imagine a really good time and great music, but what are some of the things that you guys are presenting as we speak now? What can people expect when they come to one of your concerts?
Well, what I always try to do with the concert is to give people a picture image of the whole of Irish tradition. So they will hear the plaintive ballads that celebrate indeed our patriotic figures. They will hear the rousing tunes of resistance. They will hear the great love songs, and they will hear the energetic and high-powered music of the fiddle and the banjo, and so they get a very, very true representation of nearly every aspect of Irish um, uh, music, song, and dance. Well, we don't include dance in every one of our shows, but in many of our shows, we do bring along dancers. And that's been a feature of the development. I've always believed in dancing from the earliest times of performing. We used to invite dancers up out of the audience to dance with us. When we'd play our music, we would invite people. This is before the advent of river dance, and so we always did that and brought people up and to dance, and we always got a response. Sometimes we got brilliant dancers, and sometimes we got the odd indeed aspiring John Travolta
Staying alive.
Yeah. You never know, but by and large I was able to control that. But it was in the day before there was really organized and like professional dancers. Just at that point, like where I grew up in Inchicore, there was a woman that used to teach Irish dance, Mrs. Kane. And I remember back in the 1970s, that great actor, Donald O'Connor, came to Dublin and did a show with us. And I asked one of the girls that worked with Mrs. Kane, would they come out and dance at our show? And he absolutely loved the Irish dance, and it's a memory that I have. That was probably in Ireland. The teachers like Mrs. Kane that were all over the country did this out of love of their own tradition, and dance never died in Ireland, even though it was outlawed like 100 years ago. Prior to that, but the dance, it was always there in society and in communities, and always appreciated and valued. And even my own mother tried to send me to dance, but she didn't succeed.
You didn't dance, you ran.
Yeah.
Do you play multiple instruments yourself?
No, I don't. I wouldn't classify myself as a multiple instrument player. I play the bodhrán and the mandolin. Indeed, but my main focus always has been on my singing, and to sing the songs um, that were important to me, and the songs that I recognised that had a quality of our heritage. So the song Lord of Ireland is where I found that my heart was in the songs and in their sentiment that they expressed. So um, I I I know that over the years the I never ceased to amaze me the amount of songs and ballads that were written here in America by Irish people and back in Ireland, that I constantly keep coming up with uh, um, collections of songs about events and issues that I never thought were commented on by people. But I realised that in every generation, Irish people wrote songs and reflected on the issues and events that affected their lives. It's really a mirror image of our history. It's an extraordinary tradition, really.
Absolutely right. You even have on the album, which is exciting, the Ballad of James Connolly, poem and song. And you also have the Flying Fingers set instrumental. That's cool.
Yes, that's Damaris. She's collected wonderful tunes and recorded them, and that Flying Finger set is one of her own. It's a beautiful tune, and it has great energy. And the thing about Irish traditional reels and jigs is that they have an enormous capacity to excite people because of the rhythms and their structure. Um, and I think one of the finest pieces of music that we recorded at the Young Wolf Tones is on our CD, Call of Erin, which is a special CD we did for the 100th anniversary of the Easter Rising of 1916. And on that Call of Erin, the band play indeed the Fox Hunter's Reel, which is a piece of music that indeed expresses every aspect of a fox hunt, indeed, from the chase to um, the passion and the gallop that's part of it. And it was written obviously at a time to accompany an exciting event, and there are beautiful tunes like that that have been recorded by us. Like the Young Wolf Tones, we've probably done, I think, seven albums, and 8 albums. So they're all out there on our website, and they can have people can go to um, and to look at the songs that are on them and the pieces of music that are on them, and I'm sure they'll find as something of interest to suit their taste.
I would imagine, like all Irish artists, whether they are instrumentalists, musicians, or they are singers, songwriters, they always get asked to sing Danny Boy and When Irish Eyes Are Smiling and all the traditional ones that people identify. Do you guys get asked to sing those sometimes as well?
Yes, you know, um, the thing about songs like the Derry Air and the Danny Boy is that that's the most beautiful tune. And so I never shy away from it. But I always tell people the story behind it. And it was collected by one of our greatest collectors of Irish music, George Petrie. And George was a passionate man that believed that the music of Ireland was being decimated and destroyed by the extermination of the people in the 19th century. And he set about to collect the music. And um, he, back in the 1830s, the uh, the government, he persuaded the government in London um, to do a search in all the counties of Ireland of the heritage tradition of song, music, and story, and the state of education of the people. And unfortunately, they chose the first county of Derry, and it revealed that the people were being educated despite the fact that the government wasn't providing education. There were people speaking Latin, Greek, and teaching it. And the music, indeed, he recorded. One of the songs he collected was that tune, indeed, that became Danny Boy. And it was called O'Cahon's Lament. And he got the notation from a woman in Limavady in County Derry. And um, Derry was the only county that was done by the English authorities. They cut off the funding because I think it was finding that there was a lot of creative, artistic, and brilliant poetry, music, and song and story in the counties, and it didn't want to reveal it in the whole country, so it was scrapped. But George Petrie is responsible indeed, for we wouldn't have that song, that tune, without him and without Jane Ross, who was the woman that is believed to have taken down the notation from a blind fiddler. And
Hmm.
that gives you an example, like, of the state of Irish music in the. You would have to read the literature of a man like George Petrie to understand just how, indeed, poorly our music was thought of in the 19th century. Um, and as George Petrie commented, he said the land of song is no longer tuneful, and the only sound I hear in my travels through the countryside is the cry and scream for the dead.
Hmm.
And that was his words back in the 1850s. Um, but they George Petrie and the men he surrounded himself with, Eugene O'Curry, and John O'Donovan. They were nation builders. They resurrected the remnants, indeed, of written Irish history, music, and song, and they paved the path to its preservation. Um, I think we owe a great deal to those people. And so when I'm asked to sing Danny Boy, I always give the people the story behind it. And the man who wrote the song, who wrote the words of it, um, would have used uh, that melody as for the words of the song, and that's happened to a lot of our music was appropriated and taken, and new words are written to it.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
right. Exactly. Different sort of ways that it's presented and different ways that it's nuanced. Well, now that you told us that extraordinary backstory for anybody who might not have known the backstory of Danny Boy, some of our guests, when they're on, even if it's just a cappella, they'll throw something in. Would you want to sing a little something for our viewers? I know they're like, is he going to sing? Is he going to sing? Feel free. I mean,
I'm afraid I wouldn't be in a good position now to sing. Um, but I tell you what I'll do. You know, um, uh, I'd sing the next time. I'll be prepared. I need to leave it later in the evening. It's hard to sing in early in the day. Um, But you caught me
Gotta
on a guard.
warm up those vocal cords.
Yes, yeah, yeah, yeah. And
What's the response you're getting on tour now? The crowds must be very happy to see you guys.
yeah, we were playing here for 2 nights in a very
Maryland.
rural community here in Maryland, and both nights are sold out. It's a cabaret. Sit down, you have a beautiful meal in the place, and it's there's a lovely atmosphere, and the people here really enjoy listening to the stories behind the songs, and there's great energy in the crowd. Like we're no strangers to this area, and we've been performing here for years, and so the it's a great pleasure also to be in a place for 2 nights in a row, which makes it
Yeah.
very exciting, and uh, I suppose in many ways playing here is we're like coming home because we know a lot of the people in the locality, and the shows are always a sellout, so that's nice,
It's
and yeah.
yes, I know. I've been following it and it's incredible. And I think it's really, really a cool thing. And what are some of those continued blessings and joys in your life? You've been doing this for decades, Derek, and you have this wonderful group, and you're sort of inspiring young minds and young future talents through the group as well, which is legacy building. What are some of those things in your world that are continued blessing and joy? Because you could easily say, I've been doing this a long time. I'm good. I'm done. We've done it. We've made our mark. I'm going to go to Miami, Florida, and put my feet in the sand and have a martini and swing in a hammock, and I'm good. Which does sound good about now. Why aren't we doing that? But instead, you're out touring, you're making albums, you're still doing it, you're plugged in. What is it about music and about the arts and about these blessings and joys in your life that keep you out there entertaining and inspiring all of us through the music and these incredible stories that go along with it?
Well, I think there's some things that give me great satisfaction, and I look at some of the young people that have passed through the young Wolfe tones, and the young man that's with us today, and the young guys that are with us today, that are so talented, and you know, to feel their excitement and their passion for the music, it's something that rekindles the same feeling that I had back in the 1960s when starting off in my career. And to know that there's so much to learn um, for these young people, and to see them learning and um, the understanding of our heritage and tradition, and what it would mean to not just the people in Ireland, but the people in America and around the world in the Irish diaspora, and to see a greater picture. Um, it's broadening the minds of young people to an understanding of a bigger world and a more appreciative world of our Irish heritage and tradition. That's great satisfaction. That would keep me indeed alive and going for forever. And also, there isn't a day I don't get up, Jim, that I don't learn something when I'm on the road. And that somebody comes up to me and says, "Did you know that in this town? Did you know that?" And all of a sudden, something of profound knowledge is imparted to me, and because you have to remember that Irish history um, was totally underwritten, and like we're still writing about our contributions to this country, and because we're not reflected in popular accounts of history, so we have to go to the local histories and to find indeed where they are acknowledged. So there's those type of things keep me um, uh, give satisfaction, and also are inspiring, because you see that people do understand that our music is so much part of, indeed, of everything aspect of Irish life. And I always say in at the shows that there's no part of our heritage that can boast of higher claims or greater influences than our music and song. It has followed the Irish people to the ends of the earth. It has strengthened our nationality and identity, and the music costs nothing except the lips of those who would sing those songs and the ears of those who would listen. So they really, our music are our monuments to our nation and our country. And that's the way I see our music.
Beautifully said, Derek. Really beautifully said. You should go on a lecture circuit or work for the Chamber of Commerce for Ireland.
There's,
It's the stories are Irish. They're always great conversationalists, great storytellers, wit, witty humor, all of those good things. If you're having a bad day, just get somebody who's Irish in the room, and things will, you know, either ramp up or calm down, depending on the conversation. Um, we'll have you back for sure, and maybe we'll at some point, when you're off the tour, maybe the whole gang can join you too. We can have several of you on at once, but in lieu of performing, because it is early and you've got to get on stage, all soon, maybe there's an Irish blessing, especially this time of the year, that you can share with us and the viewers. That would be wonderful as well. With all of these great stories, I'm sure you have a Irish blessing or two up that sleeve.
well, I've always seen my work um, as um, for the glory of God and the honour of Ireland. There are simple words. We say it in Gaelic, Docum glory Dei agus an and the Heron, for the glory of God and the honour of Ireland. And there are three candles that light every darkness: nature, truth, and honesty.
All of those are very important in life, absolutely. And a good sense of humor, too, to get through it all.
Well, sometimes I can be accused on the road of being too funny. I like to keep the humor into the
Yeah.
travels, because
Yeah.
humor is a big part of our. And I know this has been a very serious conversation, but I'd like to come back and maybe do a humorsome with you and tell you all of the funny incidents that we had on the road.
Oh, I can only imagine some of. Do you have one quick one? What's one quick one that
Oh
comes to
God,
mind?
they're all long tail. There's no quick ones. They all have a long
The
tail.
time when the bus broke down and we.
Oh yeah, there's never a dull moment. I tell you, that you always have some excitement, and you know,
Keeps it fresh, keeps
there's,
it interesting,
yeah,
because you are like, when you're, and I ask this with a lot of the performers specifically when they're recording and they've been together a long time, or, they're just traveling so much, airplanes and buses and trains and cars, and leaving their family and friends to go around the world to do what they love. And you become with those people in the group like brothers and sisters, like family, right? It becomes like a family.
that's absolutely right. Like, you're living together in a bus, and in planes, and traveling in the hotels, and um but I think before, I've had the good fortune to be able to separate young people. If we see a person, ask them to join the band, the first thing that any of us will look for is that a woman has a disposition for travel, and the their talent and their musical ability will come secondary to that. The first thing that we look for is that a person that will be able to travel with us as a traveling musician or singer or dancer. And by and large, most of the young people that are talented and want to indeed travel and play as a traveling musician, you know, that's all they ever wanted to do. They wouldn't know, indeed, the disciplines of business or of how to get the gigs or the the management or the all the technical things that are involved in it. But the way it is with all the young people that are with me, they're all expecting to help with the chores on the road, and they do. And that understanding indeed makes um, it makes it a combined effort. And I don't think in all of the years that I've had any of all the bands on the road, we've had any problems in relation to like people's temperament or that. We, by and large, we've always been able to manage that because initially, anyone that would come with a band would be people that and the understanding that of what they would have is required of them. And but I don't have any contracts or anything with just to give me notice if you're going to leave, so I can get somebody else to to fill the job, and it has worked out for the past 16, 17 years, and I think most of the young people that are with me are glad for the experience and for the journey that they spent and the travel and people that they met and the appreciation particularly that were given for their talent, because sometimes young people don't get that, and that's encouragement, and it sustains their ability to stay in the business. They need to, if they disregard it at a young age, and their confidence is shattered because somebody didn't like what the way they were singing or doing something, if they come along with the young Wolf tones, I've always felt that they'll get confidence because they'll get confidence from the response and appreciation they get from our audience.
That's
That's
exactly right. Yeah, it's full circle. Exactly. It's full circle. Um, Congratulations on all of the music that you have put forth, Derek, you and the group, and on this latest album, which I know has been truly a labor of love, and you guys have been very excited about it, and we're happy to, show people it and get them to want to go and get it. Of course, you can go to the website. Is the music also available at Amazon and places like that, iTunes and
yeah,
Spotify?
yeah, it's available everywhere and all iTunes, and I'm sure it's available at the moment on the moon. Yes.
And that's a whole new world too, isn't it? The streaming, the downloading, the Spotify, all that's a whole new way of doing music, hasn't it?
Um, it's amazing, actually. When you think of it, how difficult it was. And I'll tell you a little story to finish. Last year we were out in O'Neill, Nebraska, and we did a concert out there in O'Neill um, for the organization that put up the statue to John O'Neill in the town. It's a beautiful town, great community, and we were out there, and uh, Natalie Butterfield was a lady that was in charge of the group that brought us to the town, and she said, "Would you like to come to the radio station and do an interview?" And I said, "Oh, I'd love to come to the radio station." So I met the man who owned the radio station, and I gave him some CDs, and I said, "Here you are, you can play those CDs." God, he said, he said that not many artists have come all the way here to Western Nebraska and given their recordings. He said the last man that came here and handed me his recordings was Johnny Cash.
Wow. That's
And I
amazing.
said, "You mean to tell me Johnny Cash came all the way out?" Personally, he said he came out here, handed me his recordings, and said, "Will you play them?" He says, and he was a man my own age, but I thought it was, well, it speaks volumes for Johnny Cash. He was that type of person. All he ever wanted to do was sing, perform, and play. He was a natural player, and I seen him perform in Ireland and back in the '60s, and he loved Ireland. And but I was delighted to hear that he would go all the way out there with his CD, with his what was then the small 45 records, or um, uh, just to ask them to play it.
That is really incredible. What a story, huh?
Nice though. I think Johnny Cash was really a displaced Irish balladeer. I
You
always
know,
think
I think you're right.
he
When you
was
think
very
about
Irish. You
it.
know,
Yes.
he went into prisons to perform, and he did
Mhm.
all sorts of things that indeed were good, but yet um, he was able to um, um, bring entertainment to communities that no other person could have done. You know,
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
yeah,
people really loved him and responded to him and miss him to this very day. Absolutely. Um, well, this was terrific, Derek, and I got to say we really appreciate the time, and especially while you're on tour, you're in a hotel room. That's not his house, folks. He's in a hotel room, and um, do you like mashed potatoes?
no, I prefer baked potatoes actually. Yes,
He's a baked potato.
yeah,
There is something about the Irish and the potato for sure. I keep telling people, say, well, gee, Jim, if God ever said we're going to put you on an island for the rest of your existence, and there's only one thing you can have to eat, and you'll be able to live on it, but there's only one thing you can have, what would it be? Lobster, filet mignon, spaghetti, whatever. Mashed potatoes. Give me
yeah.
those mashed potatoes, and I am good.
They're taken baked. Yes,
Oh yeah. However they come. You're the best, my friend, and it was really a pleasure to get a chance to know more and learn more about you and your extraordinary, legendary background and the group as well. And I wish you safe travels on the tour and knock 'em dead as you do. And congratulations on the album. We encourage folks, if you want to learn more, go to their website, which is right there on the screen for you. We've been showing it throughout this broadcast and this edition of the Jim Masters Show live series. Spread the word about our show. If you know other folks you think would like to pop on and join us, Derek, for however long they want to be on. I don't even call these interviews, I call these conversations, because I think people get more out of a conversation than if we had pre-prepared questions and we rush through the questions and then just talk about the CD and then we're out. People get a good feel for why you do what you do and the incredible talent surrounding you with the young Wolfe Tones. And I wish you all the best. Come see us again. We'll keep, as we say to all the guests, the porch light on for you. We thank all the viewers watching, commenting as well. And I hope you enjoyed the time with me as much as I have with you, Derek.
And thanks very much, Jim. It's been a great pleasure, and I have heard indeed about your notoriety, and it's a great pleasure to meet you. And thanks for having me. And maybe someday we'll take the young people on, and you'll talk to them as well, because I'm sure you'd find them interesting. But thanks indeed for your time and for the chat. And I look forward to talking to you again. God bless you.
God bless you as well. And as my dad has said, and I've shared this multiple times on this show, but I've shared it well before I started this series, when I was, how you get this wonderful advice or mentorship from parents, grandparents, relatives. Well, when I was 7, my Irish dad said to me, Now, Jimmy, whenever anybody says something kind or nice to you, always remember to thank them for those kind words. Then ask them to put those words in writing and address it management.
Very good. Very good.
And that comes in handy.
Yes.
Whoever management is, let them see those nice words that have come in.
Yes.
Very important. Derek
Thanks.
Warfield, I wish you all the very best. Thanks for stopping by the Jim Masters Show series. Continued success on the tour. Congratulations on the album. And we'll see you again soon, okay?
Good night. God bless. And the best of luck to you, Jim. Thanks a million for having me.
Absolutely. My pleasure completely. You take care and be well. Cheers.
Bye.
Bye-bye now. Derek Warfield of the Young Wolfe Tones. Wow. This incredible conversation. You got a chance to learn about this iconic group, but also his extraordinary experience. Been doing this for a long time. Grew up, of course, on the Emerald Isle and learned early about music with his family and playing and singing and just thoroughly enjoying it. And we thoroughly enjoyed our conversation here on the Jim Masters Show with our special guest, Derek Warfield of Derek Warfield and the Young Wolfe Tones. Terrific group. If you get a chance to catch them on tour, the tickets do go fast, folks. You know, you can go to their website, and here's the website again to see the dates and the times and the locations for the tour, especially the American tour. And if you're watching this, you know, months and months from now, because we archive all of our episodes on our YouTube channel, Jim Masters TV. So if you're watching this episode well past the tour, well, then, of course, you can go to the website and look for other information about other touring opportunities and opportunities to get their music as well. As he mentioned, it's on all of the platforms, Spotify, iTunes. You can pick it up at Amazon. This is their latest work, Let the Free Birds Fly. You know, and as much as we had a wonderful conversation, what terrific stories, huh? He is an amazing storyteller and very proud of his heritage and culture and sharing it with others, young minds, mentoring young minds as well, and sharing it with the world. Again, everything Irish, not just sharing it with America and Canada, but literally around the world. And everybody should be proud of their heritage and their cultural upbringing, nationalities, and of course, the place that they call home. Even if you live in a different country from where you were born, respect and honor where you live now and the ways of the land now, and of course, where you hail from, which is so important. And again, good music, good times, laughs, a lot of heritage built into decades of music. And we are so excited to have Derek on the show. And thank you for watching. This was really a terrific conversation. And we always invite you to stop by the Jim Masters Show Live Entertainment Lifestyle Celebrity Talk Show series. We keep the porch light on for you and you and you and everybody around the world. If you enjoyed this episode, we do encourage you, we welcome you, and we suggest, because it does help us reach more people, if you can give this episode a thumbs up like on the YouTube channel. There's a big thumbs up icon. Click the thumbs up. Leave a comment for us on the YouTube channel underneath. What did you enjoy about this episode, the conversation? What's some of your favorite Irish music? Maybe your favorite music of Derek Warfield and the Young Wolfe Tones, and maybe it's the first time you heard about them too. You never know. We're always learning something every day. And what are some things you love about the Jim Masters Show series, and who would you like to see as a guest on the series, where we celebrate with our celebrity friends and guests from around the world? So like, comment, subscribe, and we thank you very much for being with us. This is your host, Jim Masters. We do thank Derek Warfield again for joining us one more time. Next time he's back, he promised he will sing a little bit for us, probably tell us some more stories. He's got all of the crazy stories built up of what happens when you are on tour. You know, getting stuck here, and sometimes, you know, somebody takes a shower and the door gets locked. I mean, things happen. Things happen. and he's got a lot of stories, so he's going to share those when he returns. But they're getting ready to get back out on the stage, so we didn't want to take too much of his time. So thank you for being with us. Don't forget, you can see all these episodes, this episode in full. You can watch it again. You can share it. And any of the hundreds and hundreds of episodes and great guests we've had archived on the YouTube channel, Jim Masters TV. You can binge away and have a blast taking a look at rewatching some of your favorite episodes and maybe checking out episodes that you didn't see before. And I think that's really, really cool to have an opportunity to see episodes maybe that you never saw before. You didn't realize that that guest was on our show. And many of our guests also like to come back on the show. We've had so many guests who have returned to the Jim Masters Show Live series, this experience of what we do here at JMS, which I think is a terrific thing as well. So we thank all of the amazing guests, and we thank all of you for joining us day in and day out for all of these episodes and all this great levity and brevity, levity, and all the rest. One more time, there's the website for the Young Wolfe Tones. We thank Derek. Boy, do we thank all of you. Thanks for being with us here on the show. We had a good time. I hope you did too. Let us know. Drop a comment. Come see us again. For all of us here, beaming all across the globe, I'm your host, Jim Masters, thanking you for your time this time. Till next time, take care of one another. Be sure to be good to one another. And don't forget to take some time for yourself and love yourself as well. We'll see you on the next episode. Come back and see us again. If this was your first time here, welcome to the Jim Masters Show and the Levity family. It's nice to have you with us. Take care and be well. Cheers.